Hi Jace, how you doing? This is Jason. I wanted to take a moment to send you a quick video to highlight some of the different strokes that we worked on, some of the different rudiments that we worked on, a little bit of the theory that we covered, and then to talk about how to use your eighth notes and different bass drum beats in order to play that Smash Mouth song that you like so much. So let's review some of those things together, and you can use this as a little play-along tool. And I will also send you some videos with our friend Dave from Drumeo going over some of those rudiments so you can practice along with him. So let's go ahead and start with grip. Now when we're using regular drumsticks, I happen to use the Vic Firth drumsticks, and I know that I have a good balance point if I can grip my sticks on the flag. You can see that there's a flag here. Now if you don't have Vic Firth drumsticks, that's okay. Just think about moving your fingers about 1/3 of the way up the stick, somewhere in this area. And we hold with a firm grip between our index finger and our thumb, and then we wrap the other hands loosely around the sticks. Okay? Now for the purposes of this lesson, I am going to use some lighter sticks that aren't quite as loud so you can hear me while we're teaching. So I know if I grip these right about where the red part meets the wooden dowel, that provides me a good fulcrum point. So let's talk about some of those strokes now. We talked earlier about different types of strokes. We have a full stroke where you hit and bounce up. That's a full stroke. So you should practice full strokes for warm-ups. If you practice full strokes using 8 counts on each hand, that's a great way to warm up your wrists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. You can do that for about a minute or so, even longer if you like, and it will help loosen your wrists. The next type of stroke we talked about what was called a downstroke, where you hit the drum head and you stop the stick about 1 inch off the top of the drum head after you hit it. Hit and stop. Hit and stop. I'll move my practice pad here. Hit and stop. Hit and stop. That's a very controlled stroke. When we're doing rudiments, when we do our rudiments, using the downstroke is very helpful because it keeps your hand in a position to play the next thing it needs to play without having to rush your hand all the way down to get there. We also talked a little bit about the upstroke, where you hit and pull up. Now that one we're not going to be using for a little while, so we won't spend so much time on that. But the last one is a dead stroke, or a buzz stroke, where you push the stick into the drum head. And you hold it on the drum head, and it's called a buzz or a dead stroke. We use that for buzz rolls. And we're trying to get a really nice and tight buzz roll, which we'll learn a little bit down the road. So let's use our downstrokes when we do all of our practice today. Let's continue. So we talked a little bit about single strokes, the single stroke 4, and the double stroke. Those are all rudiments that we had talked about. So I'm going to get my practice pad out again. And the single stroke is just right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And then practice left, right, left, right, right, left, right. And I would say start at about 60 beats per minute, and then gradually increase your speed as you become more comfortable. So right, left, 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 right, left. And get to a point where you're going at a comfortable but maybe a little bit of a challenging pace, but trying to keep it nice and steady and even. The single stroke 4 is another rudiment that we reviewed. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 beats. 4 beats. The 3 are a triplet. We call it a triplet, or 1, 2, 3. And the 4th one is a downbeat, which is accented. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left. We can also start with the left hand lead. Left, right, left, right. Left, right, left, right. Left, right, left, right. can do the same thing as well with the metronome. Pick a nice comfortable beats per minute count. Start with maybe 60 beats per minute and play at that tempo. If you need to slow it down, you can, but if you are comfortable with 60 beats per minute or wherever you choose to start, gradually increase and keep it going nice and steady with the metronome. If you look at the video links, which I'll send you, the video links will show you how that's played at different tempos, and you can play along with Dave as well. The last one is the double stroke, and that's simply 2 hits on each hand. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. You can also start with the left hand. Left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. And the same thing, pick a nice beats per minute count, maybe 60 beats would be a good place to start, and then gradually work your way up. What you want to do is find a beats per minute count which is challenging but accomplishable. So that means you can do it, but it might be a little bit hard for you. So find a nice tempo, and wherever you feel a nice comfortable but yet challenging pace, then go ahead and keep that at that pace and challenge yourself a little bit and see if you can become that much better. Okay, the next thing I want to talk a little bit about is theory. We talked about playing 8th notes and 8th rests. So I'm going to send you the sheet music for that, and you can play along with that. And whenever you see one of those 8th rests, which looks like a little squiggly, has a little dot and it kind of comes up and then a line straight down, that is an 8th rest, which means we don't play anything on that count. So the first line that we worked on was counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which is how we count 8th notes. But we did not have an 8th note on count 4, and then in the second half of that, we didn't have an 8th note on count 3. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's the first part. The second part of that is no beat on count 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and, excuse me, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I want you to practice that line, and then there are 2 lines below that I'd like you to practice as well. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is our Smash Mouth song. So on that song, we are incorporating the 8th notes on our hi-hat, left-handed, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Our snare drum on 2 and 4. And then our bass drum, there are 2 different bass drum parts. The verse part is a bass drum on the and of 3 and on count 3. So that sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If we add the snare drum to that on 2 and 4, it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. When we get to the chorus, that's when the bass drum beat changes. And we play the bass drum on count 3 and the and of 3. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. When you feel comfortable with those beats, you can try experimenting with those ghost notes. And here's the ghost note pattern in the chorus. There you go. So there is your chorus groove with the ghost notes. If you choose to practice that, you can. That'll be the extra challenge for you. And we've reviewed our grip, our rudiments, our theory, and our bass drum, our groove or our beat with the 2 different bass drum methods. Remember, the key here is to make sure you are counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that way you can make sure that what you're hitting is being hit at the right time, which then produces the right sound and gives you the desired effect of playing that drum beat. So, happy practicing to you. I enjoyed seeing you this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, Chase. Bye, Jace.